What if I told you that the only thing truly under your control is your own mind? That no matter the chaos around you, the challenges, the crises, there is a strength within you that no one can take away. This is not just a beautiful idea. It is a truth that was tested on the battlefield in times of plague and betrayal by one of the most powerful leaders in history, Marcus Aurelius. He was not just an emperor, he was a warrior of the mind. A man who ruled Rome during one of the most turbulent periods in history, yet never lost his calm, his discipline, or his inner strength. But how did he do it? How did a man who faced wars, loss, and a devastating pandemic maintain absolute control over his mind? Today, you will discover the secrets of Marcus Aurelius's philosophy and learn how to apply them to your own life to become stronger, more resilient, and wiser. And not only that. As we dive into the story of this great thinker, you will also learn English naturally and effectively. Because learning a new language is just like Stoic philosophy. It requires patience, discipline, and, above all, consistent practice. So, if you want to strengthen both your mind and your fluency, stay until the end, because this story might just change the way you see the world. Imagine walking through the streets of Rome at the height of its empire. The sun reflects off white marble temples, merchants shout in the markets, soldiers march in perfect formation. The Colosseum roars with the cheers of the crowd as gladiators fight for their lives. Rome is the center of the world, rich, powerful, invincible. It was in this setting that, in the year 121 after Christ, Marcus Aurelius was born. His name was linked to power from birth. He came from a noble family, destined for greatness. While other children played in the gardens of imperial palaces, Marcus was already being trained for something greater. But unlike the young aristocrats who dreamed of battles and conquests, he had a different interest. From an early age, Marcus Aurelius showed an unusual seriousness. He was not drawn to the easy pleasures of Roman youth, lavish banquets, games, and chariot races. He sought wisdom. At just 11 years old, he was introduced to Stoic philosophy, and it was as if he had found his true path. He did not just want to be a powerful ruler, he wanted to be a just one. His mentor, the Stoic philosopher Junius Rusticus, taught him a lesson that he would carry for life. The only empire you can truly rule is your own mind. But Marcus Aurelius had no idea that one day this wisdom would become his greatest weapon. Rome was a vast empire, but also a fragile one. Its borders were constantly under attack from Germanic and Parthian tribes. Internally, political betrayals threatened the throne. Power was a heavy burden, and few could carry it without collapsing. At the age of 40, Marcus Aurelius was crowned emperor, and in that moment, his life changed forever. He did not inherit an empire at peace. He inherited an empire in flames. As soon as he took the throne, he was thrown into a storm of crises. Rebellions erupted, enemies advanced on the borders, and to make matters worse, an invisible enemy emerged. The Antonine Plague. A deadly pandemic began spreading through Rome, wiping out soldiers and citizens without warning. There was no cure, no control. The entire empire stood on the brink of collapse. It was the kind of situation that would drive any leader to despair. But Marcus Aurelius was not an ordinary leader. He could not control the plague. He could not control the wars. But he could control himself, and that is exactly what he did. In the midst of chaos, he wrote what would become one of the most important books in history, Meditations, a journal of Stoic reflections where he reaffirmed day after day that the mind is the only fortress no one can take from you. While Rome burned around him, Marcus Aurelius remained unshaken. He did not see his position as a privilege, but as a duty. He would lead Rome, not with fear, but with discipline. Not with ego, but with wisdom. And so, in the face of crises, betrayals, and one of the worst pandemics of antiquity, he proved that true greatness does not come from conquering the world, but from conquering oneself. Being the emperor of Rome meant carrying the weight of millions of lives on his shoulders. But for Marcus Aurelius, the real battlefield was not just on the empire's borders, it was inside his own mind. While his armies fought against invading forces in the north, he faced an even greater challenge: controlling his emotions, mastering his fears, and maintaining his discipline. Every morning, Marcus Aurelius woke up knowing he would face problems. Corrupt politicians conspired against him. Flattering advisors tried to manipulate him. Bad news of war and death arrived at his palace daily. Any other emperor might have given in to despair, anger, or the thirst for revenge. But Marcus Aurelius lived by a fundamental Stoic principle. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He understood that he could not change circumstances, but he could change how he responded to them. And that was his greatest weapon. When the Antonine Plague devastated Rome, thousands died every day. The Senate was terrified. Citizens begged for answers. The pressure was overwhelming. What did Marcus Aurelius do? He did not escape to a luxurious villa, as many rulers would have done. Instead, he stayed in the heart of the crisis, making decisions, helping the people, and ensuring Rome did not collapse. In his journal, he wrote a phrase that revealed his mindset in the face of adversity. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your perception of it. And this you have the power to change at any moment. Burtipum. Despite all the challenges, Marcus Aurelius maintained a strict habit of self-reflection. Every night, he wrote in his journal, reaffirming his principles. He did not write for the world. He wrote for himself, to remind himself that nothing is permanent. Everything passes. Fear is just an illusion created by the mind. Discipline is worth more than momentary pleasure. His book, Meditations, was never meant for publication. And yet, it became one of the most read and respected books of all time. Centuries later, this emperor who ruled without ego, who faced pandemics and betrayals, still teaches millions of people how to control the mind and be strong in the face of life's challenges. Centuries have passed. The Roman Empire has fallen. The world has changed. But the words of Marcus Aurelius still echo through time. His philosophy has transcended generations, influencing leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, and anyone seeking mental strength and balance. Think about the challenges of modern life: anxiety, uncertainty, social pressure. Today's world may not have gladiators and legions, but it is still a battlefield for the mind. That is why so many people turn to Stoicism. Great leaders, like Nelson Mandela, used the principles of Marcus Aurelius to remain calm and resilient, even in the most difficult situations. Entrepreneurs like Tim Ferriss and CEOs of major companies study meditations to make better decisions under pressure. Elite athletes, including UFC champions, follow Stoic principles to stay focused and not be ruled by emotions. Because, in the end, what Marcus Aurelius taught nearly 2,000 years ago still holds true today. You cannot control the world, but you can control yourself. If Marcus Aurelius were here today, he would remind us of a simple yet powerful truth. Your mind is the key to freedom. It is not circumstances that define you, but how you respond to them. You may lose money, face difficulties, be betrayed, or watch your plans fall apart. But none of that can take away your inner power, unless you allow it to. He taught us that every day is a new test. The world will challenge you, frustrate you, and try to take away your peace. But you always have a choice, to be a victim of events or the master of yourself. Fear, anxiety, and anger. All of these are just reflections of how we interpret events. And if we can control that interpretation, we can control our reality. So, when everything around you feels uncertain, when chaos threatens to consume you, when life doesn't go as planned, remember the words of this great emperor. Empower your mind, and nothing will ever bring you down. His legacy is not just in history books. It lives in every person who chooses discipline over despair, who chooses inner strength over complaint, who chooses to take control of their own life. And now, the choice is in your hands. Interactive vocabulary section. Now, let's strengthen your English skills even more. Here are 3 powerful words you can use in your daily life, inspired by the story of Marcus Aurelius. Resilience, the ability to recover from difficulties and stay strong. Marcus Aurelius showed great resilience in times of war and crisis. In daily life, if you are learning English and make mistakes, keep going. Resilience is what will help you improve. After a tough day at work, getting up the next morning and pushing forward is an example of resilience. Self-discipline, the ability to control yourself, resist impulses, and act with intention. Stoic philosophy teaches that self-discipline is more important than external success. In daily life, if you want to study English every day, you need self-discipline to stay consistent. Choosing to go to bed early instead of spending hours on your phone requires self-discipline. Endurance, the ability to keep going despite pain, exhaustion, or challenges. True strength is not aggression, but endurance in the face of adversity. In daily life, if you play sports or go to the gym, you need endurance to keep pushing even when you feel tired. Working hard to achieve a goal without giving up in tough moments is a sign of endurance. Now, here's a challenge for you. Write a sentence in the comments using one of these words. Practicing is the best way to learn. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome nearly 2,000 years ago. But his true empire was not built with armies or wealth. It was built within his own mind. Today, his words still teach us that strength does not come from the outside world, but from our ability to control our thoughts, our emotions, and our reactions. And now, I ask you, which lesson from Marcus Aurelius impacted you the most? How can you apply Stoicism to your own life? Write your thoughts in the comments and practice your English at the same time. Remember, learning a language and strengthening your mind follow the same rule: daily practice and discipline. If you enjoyed this story and want to keep learning English with philosophy and wisdom, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. And as always, speak and think in English. Live with wisdom.